man from your past will think of you again on June 11th at 5:55 p.m. Archangel Michael says, if this is not spiritually handled, the pain may return. Open immediately. The evening of June 11th at exactly 5:55 p.m. holds a spiritual vibration unlike anything you've felt before. That moment is not random. It is marked by memory, energy, and a soul cord that still pulses between you and a man from your past. You might have moved on, or thought you did, but in the unseen, that connection was never fully severed. Archangel Michael is not whispering today. He is raising his voice, warning you that what once wounded you may stir again, not by coincidence, but by spiritual force. Someone is thinking of you again, and when thought aligns with time and spirit, manifestation occurs. Be alert. This isn't about nostalgia. This is about unfinished spiritual business. Someone who once hurt you, perhaps unintentionally, perhaps with full awareness, will let their thoughts drift back to you. Their spirit, heavy with regret, longing, or unresolved desire, may stretch through the veil and knock on your door. This is not a phone call or a message. This is a wave of spiritual energy that could either reopen a wound or set you free for good. Archangel Michael has seen this ripple coming before it ever touched the earthly realm. And now, he has placed this message in your path because he refuses to let the past repeat without your awareness. On that evening, at 5:55 p.m., your soul will feel it before your body knows what's happening. You might feel a strange tug in your chest, a sudden moment of stillness, a name that comes to mind out of nowhere. These are not random. These are spiritual symptoms. It's an alert in your spiritual nervous system. You may feel confused. You may feel tempted. You may even feel sad. But what you must not feel is unprepared. Because if you are not spiritually aligned, this sudden energetic contact may draw you back into emotional territory you fought to leave. Archangel Michael says you must be shielded before that time arrives. You must close the open portals with finality and not fear. If the energy from this man enters your life unguarded, it will pull on every healed scar and twist it into pain again. You'll question yourself. You'll question your growth. And worse, you might make the mistake of opening your door again without realizing that what's knocking isn't change. It's a test. You are not the same person you were when the chapter ended. And this moment is not for reliving. It's for rising. Type I am rising to get the blessing 4896. You may have thought the past was behind you. That you closed that door, bolted it, and threw the key into a sea of healing and growth. But Archangel Michael warns, when a soul still carries an uncut tie, time alone cannot erase the connection. June 11th at 5:55 p.m. isn't just a moment in time. It is a divine ripple preordained to test your discernment. On that day, the energy of a man from your past will surface, not just in his heart, but in yours. The danger isn't in the memory. It's in your reaction. Because reaction creates access. And access is all the past needs to rewrite the future. That man may not even say a word. He may not send a message. He may not even know why he suddenly feels a surge of nostalgia or regret. But in the spirit realm, thoughts are energy. And energy is movement. When he thinks of you, his frequency moves toward you. If you're not sealed by spiritual awareness, you might feel a tug, a sudden ache, a burst of curiosity, or even a dream that lingers too long. This is not your heart acting up. This is the spiritual realm waking up. And Archangel Michael says, if you do not anchor yourself, this tug could become a tide. But to get blessing 9999. You were not meant to live in spiritual rewind. Every time you entertain a past not yet spiritually buried, you delay your divine forward. You've prayed for peace. You've cried for clarity. You work to heal. But sometimes the test comes not from strangers, but from familiar spirits wearing old names. That is what makes this moment so dangerous. Your soul will recognize the energy, but recognition isn't alignment. Just because it once felt like home doesn't mean it still is. Archangel Michael warns, comfort is often the disguise of a snare. When your name echoes in someone's thoughts, especially someone with unresolved ties, it creates a portal. Not always visible, but spiritually real. That man from your past, who may have dismissed your worth, abandoned your value, or ignored your love, will unknowingly knock through spirit. And if you're not guarded, your heart may open the door. You'll call it intuition. You'll call it just thinking. But it's spiritual re-entry. And if the spirit of pain walks through that door cloaked in false romance or regret, your soul will bleed in silence. Type I am chosen to get the blessing 7644. This is why Archangel Michael says preparation must begin now, not at 5:55 p.m., not when the dream arrives, not when the memory strikes. Now, because spiritual defense is proactive, not reactive. The armor must be on before the arrow is fired. Emotional curiosity is not protection. Healing must be sealed with discernment. And discernment must be rooted in the present, not the past. You cannot afford to romanticize what once broke you. This is not about bitterness, it's about boundaries. Not every return is divine. Some are spiritual regressions designed to delay your rise. The blessing waiting on the other side of this test is massive. That's why the enemy is trying to reintroduce what looks like love. Not all memories are sacred. Some are open doors waiting for closure. And closure doesn't come through reunion. It comes through recognition. Recognition that your soul deserves more than familiar chaos. Recognition that time has evolved you. Recognition that your destiny cannot coexist with your history. This is what June 11th is really about. Not reunion, but revelation. Type I am healing to get the blessing 8222. This is your warning and your preparation. Archangel Michael is aligning this message into your life so that when the hour arrives, you will not flinch. You will not wonder. You will not slip into emotional confusion. Instead, you will rise with spiritual clarity. You will feel the wave, but you will not be moved. You will hear the knock, but you will not answer. Because you are no longer living in the past. You are protecting your future. And your peace is too sacred to gamble with the ghost of what was. Type I am protected to get the blessing 5155. You must understand. This is not just about one man. It is about a portal that opens through the thoughts of someone who once had access to your heart. The universe, God, and Archangel Michael are not warning you about him simply because he remembers you. They are warning you because his memory activates a door. That door, if spiritually unsealed, can let in old emotions masked as closure. Closure is not always about conversations. Sometimes, it is about silencing spiritual echoes that keep replaying scenes you no longer live in. June 11th at 5:55 p.m. will challenge your inner stillness. If your emotions answer, your soul may follow, and that is what Archangel Michael is trying to prevent. You've grown too much to be swept back into the river you crawled out of. But even healed hearts can be tempted to revisit what once felt unfinished. That is why spiritual preparation matters now more than ever. This man's thoughts may come with regret, but regret does not equal readiness. Just because he thinks of you doesn't mean he's transformed. Just because his heart flickers with longing doesn't mean his spirit is aligned with yours. The danger lies in the pull, because you might confuse it for fate, when it's really just a test cloaked in familiarity. Type I'm rising to get the blessing 7023. Archangel Michael warns, don't confuse spiritual chemistry with divine timing. That man from your past might reach out in spirit, or even physically, but it is not about him. It is about you. How you respond, what you allow, what energy you let dwell in your atmosphere. If you entertain this energy, you reopen agreements that heaven already closed. And when an old agreement is revived without divine sanction, confusion follows. Your peace, your focus, your progress, they will all begin to slip, quietly but rapidly. You won't even notice the storm until you're sitting in its center, wondering how it returned. You've seen this cycle before. A name from the past, a sudden emotional wave, a moment of vulnerability, and then silence followed by spiritual exhaustion. This is what happens when doors are left unguarded. June 11th is more than a date. It's a checkpoint. Archangel Michael is not here to tell you what to feel. He's here to tell you what to avoid. Do not confuse spiritual intensity with divine instruction. The past will try to speak to you, but you are not obligated to answer. Growth is not only about what you embrace, it's about what you ignore. Type I'm anointed to get blessing 9902. You will think of you again because the spiritual thread between you was never fully burned. And in that moment, something in your spirit may awaken with a mix of warmth and sorrow. That's the trick of the past. It doesn't always return with knives. Sometimes it returns with nostalgia. But nostalgia is memory's illusion. It softens sharp edges and hides red flags under sweetened lighting. You I fall for it. Archangel Michael says, stand firm. Because this time, the man thinking of you doesn't need to enter your life again. He only needs to be released for good. You've forgiven, but now you must finalize. Forgiveness is spiritual medicine, but finalization is spiritual armor. You can bless someone in silence. You can wish them well and still guard your soul. You owe no reply to an energy that once left you shattered. What you owe is loyalty to your healing. This is not about being cold, it's about being called. Called to protect your evolution. Called to close all entry points. Called to choose peace over possibility. Because real peace isn't found in reopened chapters, it's found in choosing never to reread the same pain twice. Type I am sealed to get the blessing 8844. You are not the person he left behind. You are not the person who waited, wept, or wondered. You are someone who rose. And rising isn't always visible. It's spiritual. The past will try to speak on June 11th, but you will stand in silence, shielded by knowing. Because knowing is power. And your knowing is now divine. You don't need closure, conversation, or contact. You need alignment. And alignment says, you are too anointed to answer old voices when heaven is speaking new direction. The man may remember you, but you must not re-enter what God has already rescued you from. If this message speaks to your heart and you'd like to support our work, consider leaving a super thanks. Your contribution, up to $20, helps us continue creating meaningful and impactful content. You can also support us through PayPal by clicking the Support Here link in the video description. Every donation, big or small, fuels our mission to keep sharing powerful messages with you. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the channel for ongoing prophetic insight, spiritual guidance, and messages that help you stay in sync with heaven's rhythm. Type I am aligned to get the blessing 6336. Archangel Michael speaks clearly. Disruption does not always storm in violently. Sometimes, it tiptoes in quietly, wearing the scent of familiarity. And that is what makes June 11th so delicate. The man who will think of you at 5:55 p.m. may not even realize the spiritual signal he's sending. His longing might feel innocent on the surface, but beneath it is a ripple of unfinished spiritual energy. And if that ripple collides with your aura unguarded, it can distort your peace, shift your path, and stir emotions you thought were dead. Familiarity is not safety. It is often the camouflage of chaos. You have grown, but you are still sensitive. You feel deeply. You carry wisdom now, but there is still softness in your soul, and that softness is beautiful, but it must be guarded. Because if the man from your past senses your openness through the realm of thought and soul, he may unknowingly attempt to reconnect with a part of you that no longer exists. Archangel Michael is not trying to frighten you. He's preparing you. Because where there is a gap in your closure, there is a door the past can walk through. Type I am rising to get the blessing 6217. And make no mistake, this is a spiritual attempt, not a romantic one. It is not about messages or phone calls. It is about energy that has not been silenced. There are still words unsaid between your souls, still vibrations echoing in both directions. But not all echoes should be answered. Not all vibrations should be acknowledged. Because not all thoughts are healthy, even if they feel tender. Archangel Michael says, "Be still, but be strong." You don't owe the past your attention just because it calls your name with softness. On June 11th, if you feel a sudden wave of emotion, stop. Do not follow the trail of memory. Do not engage with the energy as if it were divine. Gauze. Breathe. Discern. This will not come like an attack. It will feel like an invitation. But it's one that leads to emotional fog. And once you're in the fog, old patterns will look like fresh paths. The cycle begins again. The confusion returns. The dreams shift. And your spirit begins to wrestle with desires it already conquered. This is the disruption Archangel Michael warns against, subtle, seductive, and spiritual. Type I am anointed to get blessing 7581. Your calling is too powerful to entertain emotional noise. You have asked for clarity. You have begged heaven for release. This is how the release comes, not through easy moments but through empowered resistance. You are not weak for remembering someone. You are not unhealed for feeling a flicker. But you must not let that flicker become fire. Fire, once welcomed, consumes. And this time, the damage won't just be emotional. It will be spiritual. It will interfere with your elevation, distract your intuition, and delay your alignment. And you don't have time to bleed for the same wound twice. The man from your past may feel your presence on June 11th, but that doesn't mean you should feel his. Energy is magnetic, but your spirit is sovereign. You are allowed to acknowledge a ripple without surrendering to it. You are allowed to feel the memory and still protect your healing. Archangel Michael reminds you, awareness is your sword. You cannot stop someone from thinking of you, but you can stop that energy from affecting your destiny. This is spiritual warfare, not emotional storytelling. And you win it by remaining spiritually unshaken. Type I am guarded to get the blessing 8472. And remember this, every time you resist a familiar pull, you gain territory in the spiritual realm. Every time you say no to nostalgia, heaven hears you saying yes to your next level. The man thinking of you may be haunted by his own delay, his own loss, his own regret. That is not your burden. That is not your mission. Your healing does not include carrying someone else's awakening. He must find his way without you. You've already lit enough torches in the dark. Now it's time to walk in your own light and never look back. Type I am awakened to get the blessing 5701. Archangel Michael speaks again, not to remind you of your pain, but to prepare you for power. When June 11th comes, it won't just stir a memory in the man from your past. It will awaken a vibration in you. A vibration that says, what if? What if he's chained? What if this is closure? What if this is God's timing now? But Archangel Michael is clear. This is not divine timing. It is divine testing. This is not the beginning of a new chapter. It is a confirmation that the old one still has power over your emotions. You must not respond with curiosity. You must respond with clarity. The soul remembers connection like a scar remembers the blade. Not with pain, but with sensation. So when your soul feels that tug at 5:55 p.m., it may not feel like danger. It may feel like comfort. And that's why you must listen to your spirit over your soul. Because your soul reacts, but your spirit discerns. Discernment says, not everything that calls you is for you. Discernment says, healing doesn't mean returning. Discernment says, that man is not your present. He's a shadow your light once touched, but never again must it follow. Type I am rising to get the blessing 7864. He will think of you because his soul has a gap only your energy used to fill. But just because someone misses you doesn't mean they are meant to hold you. Missing you is not the same as honoring you. And what Archangel Michael needs you to see is this: longing is often the soul's last attempt to reclaim what its actions lost. Don't let his longing become your liability. Don't let his spiritual signal draw you into a detour. He's not your home. He's the lesson that taught you what home should never feel like again. You've been elevating widely, consistently, and heaven has taken notice. Your dreams have begun aligning. Your peace is deeper. Your clarity is sharper. You are on the edge of breakthrough, but the edge is where most fall. Why? Because the enemy knows if you pass this test, you will no longer be vulnerable to old frequencies. He knows if you survive June 11th without slipping, you'll never return to what broke you again. And so this test won't be aggressive, it will be gentle. That's why it's dangerous. Because spiritual warfare doesn't always come with thunder. Sometimes it comes with soft whispers. Type I am sealed to get the blessing 9981. Archangel Michael urges you, mark your door. Guard your thoughts. Speak protection over your mind before the hour comes. Don't wait until the tug happens. Prepare now. Set the tone. Pray in advance. Declare boundaries in the spirit. Because when his thoughts reach you, they'll seek a place to land. Don't be the landing strip for lost energy. Let your frequency be so elevated, so aligned, that nothing from the past can survive in your atmosphere. The pain may knock, but peace must answer. And peace doesn't entertain confusion. Peace says, you're not welcome here anymore. The man will feel something missing at evening, but it must not be you. It must be his realization that what he lost was never just love, it was access. And that access is now denied. You may never say it. You may never confess it. But in the spirit, you'll know. And more importantly, you'll know. You'll feel the tug, but you will flinch. You'll sense the vibration, but you won't react. Because your healing is no longer fragile. It is fortified. And in that moment, heaven will celebrate your growth in silence, while the past fades back into shadow. Type I am elevated to get the blessing 6155. This is what it means to rise. Not just to heal, but to protect what you've healed. Not just to grow, but to guard your growth. June 11th is not about him. It's about you showing the spiritual realm that you are no longer susceptible to old snares disguised as old love. Archangel Michael will be with you at 5:55 p.m. You will whisper strength into your soul. You will shield your emotions. But you must make the choice. The choice to honor your progress. The choice to resist the urge to look back. Because your promise isn't behind you, it's ahead. Type I am chosen to get the blessing 3399. There's a question the enemy will whisper as June 11th nears. What if this is your chance? And if you're not spiritually anchored, that single question will unearth 1,000 buried emotions. What if he's changed? What if he's finally realized your worth? What if this time could be different? But Archangel Michael wants you to silence every what if with the truth of what is. What is true is that you've healed from what broke you. What is true is that this man had a chance and fumbled it. What is true is that divine timing never wears the scent of confusion or regression. Heaven does not orchestrate returns to things that once fractured your soul. You must decide that the door no longer exists, not just physically, but spiritually. Because if you leave even the faintest emotional crack open, energy from the past will find a way through. The soul can be tricky. It knows how to use your compassion against you. It knows how to stir old laughter, old glances, old dreams, and reframe them as destiny. But those dreams were detours. Those laughs were illusions. If the foundation wasn't truth and wholeness, the whole house was hollow. And no matter how familiar that house may seem, Archangel Michael warns, returning to it now would be like laying your peace on an altar of self-betrayal. Type I am rising to get the blessing 8117. There is no clarity in going backward. The man from your past is not your future simply because he remembers you. Memory is not movement. And even if his thoughts brush yours on June 11th, it doesn't mean God is initiating a reunion. The Spirit says this is not alignment. It is a signal that you must prove your loyalty to your healing. And that proof comes not by confrontation or contact, but by calm detachment. The kind of peace that says, I acknowledge this energy, but I do not accept its invitation. Do not romanticize the pain just because time softened its memory. Time has a way of putting makeup on scars, but the wounds still happen. The tears were still real. The betrayal, the abandonment, the emotional absence. You lived through all of it. And while you've forgiven, you are not called to re-experience. This is not bitterness. This is wisdom. Archangel Michael is not urging you to hate him. He's urging you to honor yourself. Honor the growth. Honor the closure. Honor the divine redirection that pulled you out of that emotional quicksand. Type I am healed to get the blessing 5264. And remember this, some spiritual tests don't come to see if you still love someone. They come to see if you still love yourself. When he thinks of you again, when that wave hits, ask yourself, is this forward or familiar? Is this purpose or pattern? Is this God or guilt? If it's not elevating your spirit, it's not from heaven. If it's asking you to compromise your growth, it's not your blessing. If it stirs confusion in your peace, then it is not divine. Divine things bring direction, not distortion. June 11th will come and go. But how you respond will write a new chapter. You can either repeat a cycle or release a soul tie. You can either answer the knock of the past or fortify the walls of your promise. The man from your past might feel like a soul twin in moments of weakness, But Archangel Michael says your true alignment will never require you to question your progress. You will know by the stillness. You will know by the clarity. You will know because real love won't need resurrection. It will be present, alive, and whole. Type I am whole to get the blessing 4400. You owe yourself this victory. You owe yourself the protection of your peace. Do not let your soft heart override your wise spirit. Do not mistake longing for love. Love does not come through back doors. It walks through the front, announces itself in light, and holds your hand forward. It does not pull you back into shadowed memories. Archangel Michael says you're being watched by heaven, by destiny, by angels. And if you pass this test, you won't just close a chapter. You'll burn a contract in the spiritual realm that has lingered too long. Your rise is waiting. Type I'm released to get the blessing 6766. There is something sacred about silence. Not the kind that comes from emptiness, but the kind that comes from clarity. Archangel Michael says, on June 11th, you must honor the power of that silence. When his thoughts brush against your atmosphere, when you feel the name rise inside you like smoke from a long-burnt fire, don't speak it aloud. Don't chase it with curiosity. That name has already echoed enough in your past. This time, silence will be your sword, and it will cut away what lingers without invitation. You don't have to battle the past with words. You defeat it by refusing to dance with its ghosts. The man from your past might wake up that morning with your name sitting heavy on his chest. He may not know why. He may think of the laughter, the soft places you gave him, the peace you provided when his life was chaos. But what he won't realize is that his memory is not a signal of reconnection. It's a mirror of realization. He's just now seeing what he lost. But don't confuse his realization with readiness. There is no redemption in return unless it's authored by God. And Archangel Michael says this return is not holy, it's hollow. Type I am rising to get the blessing 3912. The temptation will come not in his presence but in your imagination. That's where the enemy strikes first. The thoughts, the daydreams, the little moments that replay themselves in slow motion like a movie you swore you'd never watch again. But you must remind yourself, this is a rerun with the same ending. You already know how it turns out. Don't confuse new emotion with new outcome. The script hasn't changed, only your awareness has. And now, armed with clarity, you must choose not to rewatch what you've already outgrown. Some wounds close without an apology. Some endings don't need revisiting. And some soul ties break in silence. Archangel Michael wants you to know, closure is not a door someone else walks through. It's the one you shut for good. And when you shut it, you don't stare at it, waiting to see if it opens again. You walk away. You return your gaze to the light ahead. Because the past is not your signal. The past is your proof. Proof that you survived. Proof that you've grown. Proof that you've learned how to breathe without what once suffocated you. Type I am protected to get the blessing 2744. He may not even realize the spiritual thread he's tugging. He may be searching for something that reminds him of peace, and you were once his peace. But peace that leaves does not deserve another chance. Peace that returns without responsibility is only seeking relief, not restoration. You are not someone's relief. You are not someone's emotional escape. You are someone's answered prayer, but only for the one whose soul matches yours in honor and direction. And Archangel Michael says this man, though sincere in his thoughts, is not equipped to carry the blessing that is you. You must not be seduced by sadness. That feeling that maybe things could have worked out. That maybe you were too quick to move on. That maybe there's still something sacred left between you. But sacred things don't come attached to spiritual residue. Sacred things are clean, holy, clear. And this energy rising on June 11th is not sacred. It's spiritual smoke. It clouds the eyes. It slows the spirit. It pulls your intuition into fog. And the moment you entertain it, you begin to question the very clarity God has worked years to give you. Type "I'm like" to get the blessing 8355. Your destiny is not delayed by time. It is only delayed by response. And Archangel Michael wants your response to be strength. Not coldness. Not cruelty. Just a quiet knowing that says, I've been here before, and I would go again. When he thinks of you, let the spirit realm know. You are not available for return. You are only available for what aligns. Let that be your posture. Let that be your prayer. Let that be your promise to yourself. Because the moment you choose alignment over nostalgia, heaven will shift something on your behalf. And this time, it won't be memory. It will be miracle. If this message touched your spirit and you feel led to support, we invite you to give a super thanks. Your generosity, even up to $20, helps us continue delivering life-giving content straight to your heart. You can also make a difference by donating via PayPal through the support here link in the video description. Every gift empowers us to keep sharing truth, hope, and encouragement with you and others. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel for regular prophetic words, spiritual insight, and timely messages that keep you aligned with God's divine rhythm. Type "I'm aligned" to get the blessing 5621. There is an invisible cord that connects souls through shared emotion, memory, and impact. This cord isn't always chosen. It's often formed through moments so intense they imprint themselves spiritually. That man from your past, the one who will think of you on June 11th at 5:55 p.m., is pulling on that cord. Not with malice, but with memory. Not because he wants to harm, but because part of him still feels the echo of what was. But Archangel Michael says, just because a cord exists doesn't mean it must stay connected. And your power lies in the courage to sever it, once and for all. You may feel a shift in your spirit on that day. A sudden stillness. A familiar ache. A moment of intense emotion that arrives without reason. That's not random. It's not weakness. It's energy. Is energy reaching for you. And if you are not fortified, your emotions will interpret the signal as divine. But it's not divine. It's a detour. A test to see if the healed version of you will answer the door the broken version once left open. This is your test. And the way you pass is with one holy word: no. Type "I am rising" to get the blessing 4107. That no may not be shouted. It may be whispered. It may be unspoken. But in the spirit, it will roar. It will tell heaven that you are ready. It will tell your angels that you've outgrown the loop. It will declare to your destiny that you're no longer available for recycled pain. That word, no, is not rejection. It is redirection. And redirection is God's way of saying, you've learned enough here. There is more ahead. But you can't receive the more if you keep revisiting the maybe. Maybe he's changing. Maybe this is timing. Maybe this is love. No, this is a trap with a memory smile. There will always be a part of you that wonders if closure could come through conversation. Archangel Michael says it won't. The conversation you seek already happened in the silence. In the tears you cried when he wasn't there. In the nights you prayed for peace and learned how to create it without him. That was closure. And sometimes, closure doesn't mean both souls understand. It means one soul chooses not to reopen a wound that God already healed. Your peace is proof that the closure is complete, even if He never gives you the apology. Type "I'm unshaken" to get the blessing 7994. You must now honor that healing by refusing to spiritualize confusion. If it doesn't bring clarity, it's not God. If it reopens pain, it's not destiny. And if it interrupts your rise, it's not love. Love does not revisit through memory. Love walks forward with intention and alignment. The man thinking of you may feel sincere, but sincerity without transformation is manipulation of energy. And heaven is not asking you to discern his emotions. Heaven is asking you to discern your atmosphere. If peace shatters when his energy enters your space, then your answer is sealed. This connection must remain closed. Your angels are watching, not to control your choice, but to record your decision. Because your reaction on June 11th will determine the momentum of your next season. Pass the test, and the doors ahead will open with force. Fail the test, and you'll find yourself circling a pattern you swore you'd never repeat. This is why Archangel Michael has been speaking so clearly, because he knows what's at stake. He's fought off energy on your behalf that you never even saw coming. But this one is yours to resist. You have the tools. Now you must use them. Type "I am armored" to get the blessing 6211. It ends with a decision. You can feel the wave and still refuse to surf it. You can sense the pull and still choose not to respond. Strength doesn't mean you're emotionless. It means your emotions serve your wisdom, not the other way around. When the past knocks, let your spirit answer, and let your spirit say, "I honor what was, but I belong to what will be." That is power. That is maturity. That is divine defense. And that is the signal heaven needs to usher in the blessings you've been waiting for. The ones the past was sent to delay. Type "I am ready" to get the blessing 5638. Something divine happens in the spirit realm when you choose peace over pattern. Heaven leans in. Archangel Michael steps closer, and the enemy trembles. Because silence, when grounded in discernment, becomes one of the loudest declarations in the supernatural. On June 11th, when his thoughts whisper your name into the atmosphere, your refusal to engage will echo in realms unseen. You will need to pose about it. You will need to call a friend. A spirit will feel it. The angels will witness it. That decision, your no wrapped in stillness, will mark the moment your soul finally broke the cycle. You see, the true test was never about him. It was always about you, about who you've become, about whether your heart still needs validation from the past to believe in its worth. And Archangel Michael says this time, the test ends in your favor. Because you've learned the truth. What left you is not greater than what God is sending to find you. That man may be haunted by your light, but that does not mean your light belongs with him again. Some people carry regret but still lack readiness. Some people feel loss but still don't carry love that's worthy of your soul. Type "I am rising" to get the blessing 7888. There's a shift that occurs when you walk away from a door that once had a hold on you. You no longer just heal, you ascend. And the spiritual realm watches ascension like a courtroom watches a verdict. Every time you rise instead of regress, you prove that you are no longer in bondage to old agreements. Because make no mistake, soul ties are more than feelings, they are contracts. And June 11th is your court date in the spirit. Your silence is the signature that voids the deal. That man's thoughts may seek you, but they cannot reach you without your spiritual consent. You once believed that closure required conversation. But now, you know that the most powerful closures happen without a word. You release him by releasing the fantasy. You release him by acknowledging the reality. That it ended. That it broke you. That you survived. That even if he remembers you with tenderness, it changes nothing about the path you've built since. You've done the work. You've buried the anger. You've planted peace in its place. Don't let his sudden mental arrival uproot a garden you labored years to grow. Type I'm established to get the blessing 3392. You not be surprised if the hours following 5:55 p.m. feel different. There may be spiritual residue in the air. Your emotions may stir for no reason. You may feel weepy or strangely distracted. That is the final pull of the cord attempting to reattach. Do not panic. Just remain still. Breathe. Pray. Ground yourself in what is true. You are not that woman anymore. You are not lost. You are not waiting. You are not broken. You are anointed, restored, equipped. The man from your past may remember the woman who loved him, but he does not know the woman you've become. Let that be your strength. Let the truth saturate every corner of your spirit. He does not know you now. He only knows who you were when you were still healing. And you do not owe him access to the version of you who made it out. Archangel Michael says this is your moment of crowning. Silent, sacred, private, yet powerful. The kind of power that heaven honors and hell fears. The kind of power that tells the universe, I am no longer available for rehearsals of pain. I'm only available for promises of peace. Type I am crowned to get the blessing 4561. This is not the end of a love story. It is the beginning of your legacy. What walks toward you now is not disguised as old comfort. It is shaped in new wholeness. Your future partner won't be confused about your worth. They won't need a spiritual warning to recognize your value. They will come clear, steady, aligned. And they will thank God that you said no to the man who once tried to return with only memory in his hands. Because memory cannot hold your heart. Only someone with divine vision can. And that person is coming, now that you've made room. Type I am prepared to get the blessing 6225. The moment will pass, June 11th, at 5:55 p.m., and you will still be standing. You won't have responded. You will have reached out. You will have entertained the pull. But something will shift. Not just in the spirit, but in him. You will feel it. That silence, that void, that absence of your energy, it will hit like a wave. Not loud but undeniable. And he will finally realize, this is what it feels like when she's no longer tied to me. This is what it feels like when the cord has been cut from her side. And it will humble him. Not because he's evil, but because he was unaware of how strong your absence would feel. You see, for too long, he relied on the idea that you were still emotionally reachable. Even if you weren't speaking, even if you were distant, the cord was still alive. It kept him tethered. But Archangel Michael says that on June 11th, the cord begins to disintegrate because you chose to let go. Your silence wasn't passive. It was a sword. And with it, you severed every thread that once held your spirit hostage. His thoughts may linger. His longing may intensify. But your atmosphere will remain untouched. Because this time, you didn't just resist, you released. Type I am rising to get the blessing 7883. Release isn't always followed by relief. Sometimes, it's followed by spiritual discomfort. Your body may feel tired. Your dreams may shift. You may even feel sadness. not because you made the wrong decision, but because your soul is grieving the attachment. And that's okay. Healing isn't sterile. Detachment isn't instant. But it's divine. And every emotion you feel after June 11th is evidence that the soul tie is finally loosening its grip. Don't panic. Don't question. Don't look back. The pain is not a sign of failure. It's proof that freedom is taking root in places you forgot were still holding on. And as for him, he will search. Maybe not physically, but spiritually. He will try to recreate the safety you once gave. He will stroll through old memories. He may even whisper your name in his mind, hoping to feel you again. But this time, heaven will block the frequency. Archangel Michael will shield your spirit so that the vibration doesn't reach you. This is divine protection. It doesn't always look like doors slamming. Sometimes, it's just silence that cannot be pierced. That man will come face to face with a realization. Access to you is gone, and it was grace that let it last as long as it did. Type I am sealed to get the blessing 6291. But for you, this is not a loss. It's a crossing. You are stepping out of spiritual limbo into spiritual legacy. You are no longer waiting to see if someone remembers your worth. You are no longer haunted by what could have been. You are no longer hoping that the past rewrites itself into a future. You are done. And not in bitterness. Not in anger. In sovereignty. In strength. In sacred resolve. Archangel Michael calls this moment your spiritual emancipation. The kind where heaven removes every residue of what once tried to define you, so you can now redefine yourself with power. You are not just moving on. You are moving up. And with every upward step, the past grows quieter. Its grip loosens. Its influence fades. And eventually, it becomes what it was always meant to be, a lesson, not a lifestyle. Archangel Michael is proud of you. Yes, proud. Because spiritual strength isn't proven in shouting or confrontation. It's proven in quiet defiance. In the way you chose not to open the door. In the way you chose to trust peace over pressure. That is divine maturity. And it is now unlocking blessings that waited for your agreement to let go. Type I am chosen to get the blessing 7177. And soon, very soon, you will feel it. A new presence. A fresh clarity. Someone divinely assigned, not tethered by the past, but aligned with your present. Someone who doesn't pull from memory, but builds in truth. But this person could not find you while you were still partly anchored to yesterday. That's why this had to happen. That's why the test came. Because the new could not enter until the old was fully silenced. You passed the test. You prove your readiness. Now, the door you closed in silence will become the gate through which glory walks in. If this message has encouraged or inspired you, consider showing your support with a super thanks. Contributions of up to $20 go a long way in helping us continue creating content that uplifts and empowers. You can also support us directly through PayPal by clicking the support here link in the video description. Every donation helps us keep sharing messages that make a difference. And if you haven't subscribed yet, now's a great time. Join us for ongoing prophetic insight, spiritual encouragement, and timely words to keep you walking in step with heaven's purpose. Type I am ready to get the blessing 8640. Here's a moment after release that feels like stillness. Not emptiness, not numbness. Just stillness. That's what will follow June 11th. The noise will stop. The memories will lose their echo. The dreams, once laced with questions, will begin to dissolve into clarity. You'll notice the shift subtly at first. You'll no longer check your phone expecting something. You won't replay old scenes hoping for new meaning. You'll simply breathe. Freely. Fully. Archangel Michael calls this the divine quiet. It is not the silence of loneliness. It is the peace of freedom. And for the first time in years, you'll feel untethered from the past. At man, you will fade, not as a punishment, but as a product of spiritual law. Once you disconnect from an energy source, it can no longer fuel itself. His pull had power because part of you was still plugged in, through hope, through memory, through pain. But now your cord has been withdrawn. The energy can't sustain itself. His thoughts may flicker, but they will not reach you. He may feel loss, but it will not wound you. Because now, your heart no longer beats in defense, it beats in wholeness. And wholeness is heaven's signal to start sending what's next. Type I am rising to get the blessing 7093. You'll begin to see your life with fresh eyes. Things that once reminded you of him will lose their hold. Toms, Teds, dates, all of them once sacred, now simply part of your background. No sting, no sorrow, just space. Space for new joy, space for a healed identity, space to love yourself deeper than anyone else ever has. And this, Archangel Michael says, is what healing was always meant to feel like. Not loud, but liberating. Not dramatic, but decisive. Not wrapped in fantasy, but rooted in truth. And the truth is, the past has nothing left to teach you. You passed through the test with grace. You chose silence over seduction, stillness over suggestion, wisdom over wonder. That is spiritual royalty. Not everyone reaches that level, not because they can't, but because they are afraid to let go of what felt like love. What you did it. You risked the emptiness and found empowerment. You turned away from what once made you feel needed, and toward what now makes you feel whole. And now, Archangel Michael says, your atmosphere is open, not to anyone, but to alignment. What's coming next will not knock like the past. It will arrive with clarity, not confusion. Type I am aligned to get the blessing 4933. You won't have to guess if it's love. You won't have to read between the lines or decipher energy. The one heaven sends next won't bring mixed signals. They'll carry answers, stability, peace, and honor, not just for your presence but for your process. They'll see the woman who resisted her old patterns, and they'll thank God for your strength. This is why you couldn't settle. This is why you had to wait. This is why the past had to be denied access. Because your next doesn't walk through back doors, it walks through the gates of promise. And now those gates are wide open. There's something sacred coming for you. You'll feel it like a warm breeze at first. A new confidence. A soft excitement. A whisper that says, now it's time to receive. Now it's time to rebuild. Now it's time to experience the love that doesn't require fixing, waiting, or wondering. The love that matches your healed frequency. A love that knows your worth without being told. But this love couldn't find you until you proved you were done with the old lesson. And on June 11th, you prove it. Not with words, but with silence. Not with closure, but with sovereignty. Type I am worthy to get the blessing 3904. And let this be your final reminder. You did not lose him. You released him. You did not miss out. You made space. And you did not silence the past because it was meaningless. You silenced it because its meaning had expired. Its purpose was fulfilled. Its time was over. Archangel Michael now surrounds your next chapter with divine light, protection, being, and favor. Let your hands stay open. Let your heart stay clean. And let your spirit remain expectant. Because the man who once thought of you will soon become just a shadow. But the love that's coming next, that will feel like sunrise. Type I am open to get the blessing 6811. There is something powerful about obedience in the spiritual realm. Not the kind that seeks approval, but the kind that stands firm in unseen instruction. On June 11th, you obeyed the silent prompting of heaven. You did not respond to the pull. You did not entertain the echo. You did not go back when your emotions begged you to peek one last time. And that obedience, rooted in trust, not in clarity, sent a signal to the heavens. She is ready. Ready for love without confusion. Ready for alignment without delay. Ready for joy that doesn't require explanation. Archangel Michael says your no was not a rejection of the past. It was an embrace of the future. You chose wholeness over history. And when a soul makes that choice, everything shifts. Angelic movement accelerates. Delayed blessings are released. Divine timing picks up pace. What once seemed distant begins to rush toward you, not because you chased it, but because you make room for it. That is the nature of release. It does not leave you empty. It leaves you eligible. Now, the man who thinks of you fades, while the man who's aligned with your future begins to draw near. Type I am rising to get the blessing 7312. Let yourself feel the shift fully. Don't rush it. Let the stillness settle deep into your bones. Let the clarity settle over your spirit like a second skin. You will find that your thoughts feel lighter. Your heart feels fuller. Even your dreams will begin to change. No more shadows and what was. No more emotional revisits. Just open skies. Open paths. New symbols. Divine confirmation. Because your soul has finally made the announcement. I am done with delay. And the universe will respond in kind. Because heaven always meets the soul that makes space for the promise. You will not need to announce your breakthrough. It will show. People will notice the glow returning to your face. The steady rhythm in your spirit. The effortless flow in your decisions. They will ask what changed. And the truth is, it won't be a new relationship, a new job, or a new opportunity. The change will be internal. It will be the echo of the moment you said, never again. Not from bitterness, but from revelation. That moment rode your atmosphere. And in response, heaven began to rewrite your story. Type I am transformed to get the blessing 6028. Don't be surprised if unexpected doors start to open. People reach out with alignment. Opportunities arrive that match your calling. Relationships begin that carry safety, vision, and honor. This is not coincidence. This is the reward of resistance. You didn't just say no to the past. You said yes to the assignment. And now, the reward begins. But it won't feel like reward at first. It will feel like rest. A deep, sustaining rest in your soul. Not because you're done, but because you're ready. Ready for love that's real. Ready for doors that don't require begging. Ready for joy that doesn't apologize. Archangel Michael wants you to know this. The man from your past will eventually realize the depth of your silence. It will not come immediately. But one day something will awaken in him. A moment where he feels the true weight of your absence. Not just your voice. Not just your presence. But your spirit. That moment may arrive quietly. He may not even speak of it. But he will know. She's really gone. And while he wrestles with the silence, you'll be dancing in the overflow. Not out of revenge, but out of reward. Type I am favored to get the blessing 4875. Your journey was never about revenge. It was about redemption. About reclaiming the parts of yourself you gave away to someone who didn't know how to keep them sacred. But now, you gathered those pieces. You've made peace with your reflection. You've forgiven without reopening. And because of that, the next season will not resemble the last. Your story will not be known for who walked away, but for how you chose not to go back. You will be known for your obedience, for your discernment, and for your glow. Because the woman who passed this test has officially entered her new beginning. Type I am new to get the blessing 5734. There is a kind of peace that doesn't come from answer, that comes from alignment. And right now, that is what your spirit is bathing in. On June 11th, at 5:55 p.m., you made a choice in the unseen that changed everything. You closed a chapter not with anger, not with regret, but with authority. That kind of closure doesn't just affect your emotions, it alters your timeline. Archangel Michael says when a woman refuses to return to what once shattered her, she becomes a signal in the spirit. A signal that says, I trust God more than my memories. And that is when heaven moves. Heaven is now writing new things about you. Not recycled hope, not partial promises, but original, unshakable blessings. The kind that do not need your past to explain them. The kind that won't ask you to compromise your identity to keep them. You will no longer have to wonder if you're too much or not enough. You will no longer shrink to accommodate someone else's indecision. Because what's coming next sees you, chooses you, and stays. It carries the rhythm of heaven, not the chaos of memory. And it will not be delayed, because now your spirit is in position to receive it fully. Type I am rising to get the blessing 6442. Archangel Michael reminds you that not all tests come with storms. Some come with stillness. And stillness requires just as much strength. Your strength was not in screaming. It was in silence. Not in confrontation, but in consecration. You consecrated your heart by choosing not to revisit what tried to break you. That is holy ground. That is where divine favor finds you. On the ground of resistance, soaked in discernment. You've shown the universe that you are no longer a magnet for emotional chaos. You are now a sanctuary for sacred alignment. The man from your past was not evil, but he was not your assignment. He was your classroom, a place where you learned self-respect, where you discovered your value, where you buried codependency and birthed clarity. He played a role in your awakening, but that role is over. He is no longer part of the cast, and your soul is no longer willing to audition for his attention. That's why you feel so light, because your heart is no longer rehearsing pain. It is now practicing peace. And peace, Archangel Michael says, is the evidence of healing complete. Type I am whole to get the blessing 3090. You'll begin to attract differently now. Not just people, but energy, places, assignments, messages. The shift will be obvious. You will walk into rooms and feel like they were prepared just for you. You'll speak your truth and find that it resonates more deeply. You'll stand in your worth without effort. Why? Because you're no longer tied to the old frequency. That man's thoughts, once so loud in your spirit, are now just background noise. A soft hum that fades as your purpose grows louder. You are being summoned higher, and now, nothing from the past can climb where you're being taken. There's nothing left to retrieve from that old chapter. No wisdom to extract. A message to decode. You've received everything it had to teach you. You've excavated every truth. Now it's time to build. And not a joy, not of reverence, but a revelation. Revelation that you are rare, that your heart is holy, that your soul is not meant for recycling pain, and that your future is too glorious to be tethered to ghosts. You didn't just survive him, you outgrew him, and that growth now becomes your garment. You'll wear it without apology. Type I'm expanding to get the blessing 7529. So let the energy come. Let him remember. Let the vibration of your name stir in his chest. But you will remain still. Not out of fear, but out of fulfillment. You don't need to reply. You don't need to prove. You don't need to open a door you've already bricked shut. This is your divine right, to rise in silence and be honored without effort. The man who thinks of you now lives in a memory, but you live in momentum. And momentum will carry you toward everything he was never equipped to give. Type I'm momentum to get the blessing 6877. You made it. Not just through the moment, but through the message. Through the silent battle most will never see. Through the unseen war that took place in your soul when the energy of a man you once loved knocked quietly on the door of your memory. And you did not open it. You did not answer the vibration. You stood, not because it didn't hurt, but because it no longer had the power to control your forward. That strength, Archangel Michael says, has rewritten your future. You are no longer tethered. You are transformed. There's nothing left to analyze. No deeper meaning to search for. The past has done its job. You loved, you lost, you learned. And now you lead, with peace, not pain. The echo of his thoughts may still faintly pass through the realm of spirit, but they no longer linger. Because your silence wasn't avoidance. It was authority. You didn't just survive a cycle. You close a covenant. And now that the tie is severed, you are free to rise in ways no memory can follow. You are not who you were when he left. You are who you were always meant to be. The version of you that once waited for closure no longer exists. The version of you that replayed the past hoping for a sign has vanished. Now you live in clarity. Now you walk in alignment. And now, the man who once thought of you has become just another chapter, closed, shelved, and sealed. This is what Archangel Michael wanted you to feel all along. Not just healing, but completion. The sacred exhale that says, it is finished. And so you rise. Not in noise, not in fanfare, but in the quiet knowing that you chose yourself. That heaven is proud. That angels are rejoicing. That the gates ahead are now opening because you've proven that you will no longer be detained by unfinished stories. You are done rehearsing heartbreaks. You are now rehearsing wholeness. You are being led into relationships that reflect your elevation, not your endurance. Into spaces that mirror your growth, not your grief. Into love that doesn't pull you back, but propels you forward. From this moment on, walk freely. Walk lightly. Walk boldly. Let the memory stay where it belongs, in the past. Let your soul remain where it belongs, in peace. And let your future meet you where it's always been, just beyond your willingness to let go. Because now, you have truly let go. And heaven is preparing to give you what the past never could. Fulfillment without fear, love without loss, and destiny without delay. If this message speaks to your heart and you'd like to support our work, consider leaving a super thanks. Your contribution, up to $20, helps us continue creating meaningful and impactful content. You can also support us through PayPal by clicking the Support Here link in the video description. Every donation, big or small, fuels our mission to keep sharing powerful messages with you. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the channel for ongoing prophetic insight, spiritual guidance, and messages that help you stay in sync with heaven's rhythm. I am free to get the blessing 9,999.